Our guest today is Mr. Bill Scrogins, a dear friend. So happy to have you on the show, Angels and Demons podcast. This kicks off season 2, episode 1. I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you. Before I knew Mr. Bill, I was homeless. Didn't have a home, was divorced, and didn't even know where to go left or right. And Mr. Bill says, you know what? I have a place for you. And from there, we developed a friendship. And that friendship developed into a relationship where two men can actually look at each other and say, we have great appreciation for one another.
Thank you. I really enjoy it, by the way. It's so good for me.
Words can't even describe how you blessed me and helped me in my life. And this man right here, Mr. Bill Scrogins, I'm going to have him tell you just a little bit of intro about himself.
Well, it's funny. Well, first of all, you invited me on this months ago. And then since then, of course, I had a personal friend, Charlie Kirk, was murdered on September 10th. So it took on a whole different meaning. And the way I introduce myself is very much like Charlie now. And in fact, I sent you that because you asked me. And I'm a man of faith. I'm a servant. I'm a humble servant of God. I'm a husband of a beautiful woman, 32 years now.
Wow.
Valerie.
You never hear that, by the way.
Oh, she's good. I love her so much. And then I have 3 sons, 3 beautiful sons. And I'm over the moon. I'm so blessed. And I thank God every day. After that, comes the stuff, and it's just stuff like, I worked for Publix for 20 years. Actually, I worked for Kmart for 1 year, right up here.
Wow.
They taught me how not to do business, which is extremely important.
That is very important.
Yes. And then I worked for Publix for 20 years, who poured into me Dale Carnegie training, so much training and just class. And, it's a very spiritual company, beautiful company. And, along the way, you find out more about yourself. Like, I'm a pharmacist, by the way. And, I love helping people. I love ringing them up. It was all opportunity is all it was.
And by the way, he's not just a pharmacist. He's a very humble man. He was probably one of the greatest pharmacists that this country will ever experience. He ran a compound pharmacy, and through that, he was able to bless and help people that are very sick throughout the entire world. And it's just amazing. That's all Bill does is give to other people. And when he mentioned Charlie Kirk, it took our breath away because Charlie, can you tell us how Charlie Kirk impacted you? Or go back to how you first met him. Tell us how you first met Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, I'd love to. Florida, Georgia game, October 29th, 2016. I think that's the right date. So, we're tailgating. And for some reason that day, I had a suite. And for some reason that day, I kept like 10 tickets, like private. Like I didn't give them all away. I think at the time we were just thinking, let's don't pack it. Not so, crazy. So I'm in the parking lot and I'm looking around and I see like the Tea Party group and I see Don Jr.
Wow.
President, Donald J. Trump Jr. I'm like, oh, that's really cool.
Well, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So I go up and I'm standing there and I'm watching him. I'm spying on him. I said, I wanted to see the essence of the man. Spying in a good way. I want to see him around his children. That's the real man. And I saw a great father, spending time with his children, fun, happy, protective. And so, I got to meet him I got to meet him right then too. After the line, went down, it was hilarious. I went up and said, I'd love to meet you. And he goes, oh, one more, like that. So he was exhausted, which is pretty fun. So then I saw Tony Slayman, and I think he was, I knew what he looked like. I'd never met him, but he was active with the Tea Party group. So I went up to him and I gave him my tickets. I said, there's 10 tickets to my suite. You want to use them? Fine. If you don't, that's fine also. So fast forward the first quarter, I look up and all these people start coming into the suite. It's Don Jr., his 2 children, his bodyguard or security service, Charlie, someone else that was a conservative, at the time starting off, DeSantis, Ted Yoho. I was like everybody. And I wasn't, wow. It was really fun. So then, and Don did exactly what I thought he would do is, him and his security guard and the children stayed there. We got them nuggets and stuff. And then they went and worked the whole crowd, which is extremely smart. And that was Charlie's idea. And the president even mentioned it at the celebration. You go to these huge games and you work the crowd, you get awareness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's some of the, it's just, anyway.
It's such a big public event like that. Why not?
Yeah. Very, very smart. So, so that was the start. And then, I started seeing, keep in mind this time, I didn't know anything really about Charlie. I may have seen some of his stuff, but it hadn't clicked yet.
You just met him.
Yeah, but I was a news junkie, so I'm sure I saw some of his stuff.
Did you have any conversation with him more than just hello, how are you? Or is it just very, very flat?
Don't remember.
Okay.
But I knew I wasn't there for that reason. I was there to give them space and to rest, to charge their batteries. So
God bless you.
No, it wasn't about me. So
no, Bill, this is what you do. This is what Mr. Bill does. He always says it's not about him. And he goes around, and like I said, I didn't have a home, and now I'm here, and I have a home. So he says it's not about him. It is about him. He's going to get a special blessing in heaven because all he looks for is people to bless in his life. And just that story alone is a great example of that. Not to cut you off.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's the truth, and the truth will set you free.
I'll accept that. I have a hard time, but I will accept that. So then I remember I went to a Trump rally. I may have the dates wrong, but I started seeing Charlie at certain things. And, I introduced myself at a Trump rally down in Orlando. I think I was there with Michael Waltz at the time, who was congressman.
Congressman Floyd.
Michael Waltz. He took over DeSantis's
position.
Down in St. Augustine area. Orange. I remember Charlie had his back to me. He was in a big chair with his back to me. So I went up and talked to him real quick. And, hey, yeah, good to see you again. And then I was at another event, saw him again, and we became friends. So we started texting each other and stuff like that. It was fun. But again, he was just a friend. And he still is just a friend. So it's kind of crazy. I was out in Santa Monica, California on business. And my buddy William called me, and he's a charter flight broker. Yeah. And he called me, he goes, hey, Bill, he goes, I know you're on the West Coast. Can you do me a favor? I've got a jet that's going back to the East Coast. I could take you to Jacksonville. I'll make you a great deal on it. And I was like, yeah, okay. That's, it's hard. Flying's harder as you get older. I was like, yeah, that's great. Thank you. It was good for me too. So then I happened to text.
Seating there was probably just perfect.
It was good. Well, I had no idea what kind and stuff. There's many different kinds of hats, but they're all great. Don't get me wrong. But so then I texted Charlie. I said, hey, Charlie, I said, any chance you need a ride to the East Coast to like Jacksonville? And I had no idea where he was. He could be anywhere in the world. I had no idea what he was doing. He goes, oh my God, yes. What a blessing. Yes.
Wow.
And he happened to be at Thousand Oaks, which is not far from there. So I delayed my trip, got an Uber ride up there, and then it was Sherman Country Club, gorgeous place. And there was some kind of a conference going on, and like Michael Reagan was there talking. I was like, oh, this is great. The president's son, very classy.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then there's other people. And then Charlie gave a talk, and
what was that experience like?
It was really cool because I think it's probably the first time I met Erica, or I was kind of like, oh, we're pretty good friends now then, because just the way it all worked out. And I met Pastor Rob probably for the first time. I'll tell you a really funny story though was at some point they had a bunch of white doves in a cage, and they opened the thing up. They went flying everywhere. They flew all around Charlie. And he was like, oh, it was super funny. And he had some kind of phobia about birds. I was dying laughing.
Oh, I knew someone like that. That's a true phobia too. When you have a phobia of birds, you're like, yeah, what do I do? Where do I go?
Especially when you're not expecting it. You're like,
and they all came.
Little wings, all that stuff. So anyway, that was really funny. So,
that's hilarious.
And I remember that was a great experience. I remember Pastor Rob taking us to the airport, and then we flew back, and it was funny. He said something to me like in the nicest of manner. He goes, hey, I can't talk the whole time. I've got to rest, or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's great. 'Cause I'm not a big talker anyway. I was just there, get some rest, man. You got to fight ahead of you. So anyway, we landed in Jacksonville, and him and Erica took a rental car somewhere, and that was that. And then
remind us what year that was.
I can look at probably 2018.
Okay.
Maybe 2017.
It's amazing how fast time flies.
Jeez, yes. So then the next thing that was key in our relationship was I think he asked me to go hunting. So we went hunting up in Arkansas. And I'm like,
that's cool.
I've never been hunting before. We went duck hunting. I'm like, yes. And his friend Jeff, I just asked for his last name. I forget his last name. We get this hunting lodge, and I'm like, this is really cool. And it's a beautiful hunting lodge, and they teach me how to shoot real quick. And, I watched the dog train and stuff.
It's almost like skeet shooting. You got to be really quick, don't you?
It was cool. So then I also met Mike Miller. Mike is a dear old friend and mentor of Charlie's and from Chicago. And in fact, Mike, I talk to him a lot right now, and he goes, I talked to that young man every day for 13 years.
Wow. He was his mentor, like a father in his student.
Devastated. Yeah. So I got to meet Mike. And it was fun. I remember watching the Laura Ingraham show with him, on the couch, and he was like, oh, she does a great job. It was just fun to be next to him because he was getting more and more prominent or known. And the cool thing is, like, they got us up at an ungodly time of morning. I mean, it was so early.
Let me guess, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., something.
So and they kept us super warm all because we didn't have any of the gear, of course. And they drop us off next to this swamp, and the sun's not up, and there is some light somehow.
You're like, this is perfect.
I'm like, this is odd. I'm looking at Charlie. He's looking at me. I'm like, this is surreal. Like, I'm sitting out in the middle of nowhere with Charlie Kirk. Like, this is weird. Like, you ever wonder, like, if you could look at yourself in the future and you go, what in the world?
What are we doing here together?
So then I start hearing this little boat come up. It's the boat to pick us up. Little John boat. Nothing nice now. And I hear the ice getting cracked as it comes up.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so they take us to a blind, and we're sitting there with a couple other guys and shooting ducks. And that was a great time. And then,
bonding moment for you and Charlie.
Yeah, it was really fun. And then also got to do stuff like, oh my gosh, got to go to the president, the White House, when he accepted the nomination. I did that. He invited me to go at that, and that was absolutely incredible. It means that he was really good to me, exposed me to things that I would have never been exposed to.
That's when you met Donald Trump?
Oh, no. I'm out of chronology here, probably, but he also invited me to go down to Mar-a-Lago and have dinner. I'm like, yeah.
With Donald Trump?
Well, no, with other people, but it was at Mar-a-Lago. And I was like, that's cool.
Wow.
Well, so we're eating, and next thing you know, Donald Trump is making the rounds. He loves to talk to people, meet them. So he walks by, and Charlie walks up, and he goes, hello, Charlie. And then Charlie's like, hey, Mr. President, I want you to meet some friends of mine. And he goes, this is Bill Scrogins. I go, hey, Mr. President. And he goes, nice to meet you. He goes, are you a friend of Charlie's? Are you taking care of Charlie? I said, yes, sir. And then he says, he's hilarious. And he goes, we just sent all this water to California, and they just let it go right into the ocean. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a classic.
That is classic.
So then he meets everybody else. And then the only picture I have with the president is the side of my face. I don't have the actual picture, but it's Charlie's Instagram account.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you
did. Oh,
see
yes,
that?
yes. That's when you sent me. That's awesome. You, Donald Trump, and Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah, all they're talking together at March. That's so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, and Mike was there. I met a dear friend, Keith Rose, Dr. Keith Rose, and his wife, Erica. He's got a great podcast, Amazing American.
So was this, would you say at this moment, President Donald Trump really knew what a significant difference and turning point that Charlie was making for the country?
That's a great question. I would say yes, through his son.
Because he was very close to his son.
Yeah. I would say yes, and I would say he would take any help he could get. any good positive help.
Okay.
I doubt if any of us truly understood the movement, how big it was going to get. And so then he also wrote a book, and we went on a book tour right after that, Liberty University. So it was fun. I mean, I was behind the scenes watching him talk and meeting Jerry Falwell, staying at the president's mansion there which is cool.
That is so cool.
It was, I mean, like, this is really neat.
Like a magical experience.
Yeah. And then we went out west also, and landed in Bozeman, Montana, and Charlie gave a bunch of speeches, and one of them was, Greg Gianforte, the governor, spent the day with us. So that's really cool too. So
Beyond cool.
Here I am, I'm driving in this SUV with these guys, and through Heavenly Valley, what
was that experience like?
It makes my hair stand up. And I'm talking, and I'm talking to the governor about how to fish, and we're talking about life and politics, and intricacies of the state. And for example, he said, we export our children. Once they graduate, they don't come back. And he was talking about the big problem with Montana, something I never would have imagined. And then also some of the tax codes and stuff that are odd there. So I got to do that. We went on during COVID, we went to various churches, including Jack Hibbs.
Wow.
Yeah. Went to a Calvary church that was under extreme fire from COVID. You remember at the time churches were
closing.
Sure do. Pastor Rob in Thousand Oaks went through a lot of this as well. He's a warrior preacher. So we wanted to help them out, and then we went to La Jolla. I mean, beautiful ministers.
San Diego.
Oh my God!
So through this whole time, you're just putting wind into Charlie Kirk's sail, getting him to the places that he needs to, taking him to what he was capable of doing.
Yeah. We had a private plane, by the way. Not a private plane. We had a corporate plane. Actually, it wasn't even that. It was an investment. And my business partner and I wanted to see what it was like, that business. And sometimes you have to kind of immerse yourself in it to understand it. The depreciation, the staffing, everything.
It's kind of like owning a boat.
Everything. Yeah. So we did that. And when Charlie asked if I wanted to do something, I just said yes.
Because you knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was changing America.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I wanted to be potent. I wanted to make a change. And before I met him, I was wandering around trying to find out where can I get in this movement and save our country. I mean, I'd had enough.
Give us an example of what you mean by enough.
Well, it's funny because I remember from a very young age listening to the news, and I'd be like, that's not true. That's not the way that works. Conservatism, whatever. But I was maybe just a critical mind. I'm like, no, that's not the way it is. Like minimum wage, everything. I knew the answer to all these things, all the unintentional consequences of all these things. Minimum wage. I just innately knew. Oh, like you connect the dots. Here's where this is going to lead. No one's thought about that yet. But Charlie was magnificent about that.
He addressed that so many times in a way that was piercing. I feel like everything he talked about was the truth, and it set us free in ways that still to this day I look back upon, and I'm like, you recognize so early on. And again, like Mr. Bill's sharing stories of him and Charlie Kirk way back years and years ago, where their relationship, before most people in the United States knew of what a difference Charlie Kirk was making, Mr. Bill was in the very beginning stages of that, cultivating not only a relationship with him, personal relationship, but also fueling what he felt was important. Like you gave an example. If Charlie wanted to do something, it was, how do we get this done?
Yeah, actually, it was even more like, yes.
Simple as that.
And I'd give him the contact number, and he'd get the whole thing booked out, because it was actually quite complex when you do multiple stops. One day he goes, "Do you want me to do it?" I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah," because his intellect could just do it like that.
His mind was so sharp.
Yeah,
it was incredible. And through that process of him going to these schools and taking the word of God and opening it up and trying to, through our culture, where the ideology is, where there is no structure or backbone to what's right or wrong, what is truth, what is a lie, what is a man, what is a woman, what are very controversial topics, what feminism to on and
What's
on.
a man? What's a woman? Controversial.
Yeah. Like now you go to and you feel guilty for walking in a man's restroom because you're like, was I supposed to do it? You're looking at the figure like, oh my God, did I walk in the wrong one? And Charlie was like, this is what it is, and this is why it's so important. How did that influence you when you met a man with such character like that?
It was exactly what I was looking for. I mean, and I needed it. My heart was so broken for this country, and I needed something. I mean, God put me right in there at the right place. I was convinced of that then.
At the infancy stage. At the infancy stage of where you were ground at the very first floor.
At some point, yeah. At the very infancy, he was just, very beginning, he was just Charlie. And I really didn't know him. But as I bumped into him, we were in the same circles, which means we were on the same path, the same fight, the same way to fight. You know, Trump rallies, the right congressman. And then he built me up by sending me to all these different things along with him.
Which gave you the ability to support him in taking his message and delivering it in a clear way to where a child could understand it.
And also just, it was funny because I became an investor in Turning Point, and they'll show like all the different places he's gone to in a year, and which is absolutely, I think he was on the road 320 days a year or something at one point. But the year I was especially involved with them, it'd be like this over across America. It's like, beep, 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 beep.
Can you keep up with the Sharpie, all the places?
Yeah, Temecula, Chino Hills, this place. Oh, and the cool thing is, you know, I was just with him, and I could talk to, you know, pilots, people around him. Fascinating stories. It was quite the honor. Yeah, just
absolutely.
Yeah.
What was the biggest takeaway that you had with Charlie personally that you'll never forget? Where along this journey, you hold to it so dearly, and you just reminisce about it.
He loved me. He kept saying, "Oh, you're such a blessing. Thank you, man." But just kind of like you and I as well. And at one time he looks at me, he goes, "God spoke to me. He told me to get closer to you." And at the time I was like, I didn't realize how close he walked with God. But now I'm kind of like, this is a stupid thing to say. I'm like, oh, God knows me. You know, like, God spoke to Charlie about me, so God knows me. Like, of course he does. Anyway, I'm not the brightest bulb. That was the first thing. It's just funny, though.
What a precious thing to take away from a man that literally went into universities and challenged women and men to form an identity and what is most important. If you don't have a form of Christianity, if you don't understand Christianity, if you don't understand who God is and what he has in purpose for us, then what do we have? Every man does what is right in his own eyes. And so Charlie wanted to, through the schooling system, it's kind of like in the military, they want them at 18 years old because their brain is most impressionistic. It's the easiest time to put an impression upon them. And so he knew what these schools were doing is they were banning Bibles and banning the very things that these kids needed in their life to be the best men, to be men, and for women to be women.
That's right.
God designed them to be. And so he did what 99.9% of pastors and men in this country do not have the courage to do.
That's right. He was fearless. And that intellect, I mean, getting in front of thousands of people, college students,
with a bullseye on his back,
any topic, debate anyone, any topic, anytime, and bring your PhD professors if you want, a couple of them, 5 of them, it doesn't matter. Any topic, he'll give you statistics, he'll give you Bible verses and the other references, the philosophers back to Marcus Aurelius, Aristotle, I'd never seen anything like that.
He knew his Bible in and out.
I had no idea that kind of intellect existed. But you also see where he had his mentors as well for the Bible.
Of course.
Like at the celebration.
Yes. He had his elders around him. His circle. And that circle is what fueled him. I mean, you were part of that circle. And you need that in the spiritual circle, that this part, all the pieces that come to play for him to be in the forefront. You know, like even if it's a sports team, you know who your quarterback is. Like they knew at the Patriots, they knew Tom Brady was their man. It was very clear that Charlie was the man for Turning Point.
He started it.
Yes,
he had to do something. Yeah.
Yes, he changed our country by challenging us all to identify who we are as people. And I'm telling you what, Mr. Bill, the personal relationship that you have with him, with who I knew of him on the sideline, when I knew, because I didn't know you guys had a very close relationship. And when I found out you did, I was already brokenhearted about it, because I'm like, no one takes they want to say they're a Christian and do this, but they want to keep it on the down low. So they don't really want to blow anyone's, top. So they kind of keep it, at bay. But Charlie was kind of like, here, I'm going to take the hardest issues. I'm going to talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get through this, and we're going to tell the truth. And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that for the rest of my life. And you stood behind something that is so powerful, that changed America. And they're in the ripples of goodness and quality that man initiated are still happening.
And I agree. And you have no idea, just like Erica said, and many others, Erica Kirk, the celebration, you have no idea what you have unleashed. This is the greatest movement, I think, in the history of our country. We were losing it.
Because they gave us our identity back, where you said you wanted to hold on to that purpose of, you're watching the news and you're broken. You see the country falling apart. It has no identity. If you don't know what you stand for and who you are as a person, how can you go forward? And so you saw this brokenness, and you saw someone that had a passion for what you had, which is putting things back together in the right place.
And as a businessman, too, we talked a lot of business, by the way. He had a great business mind. I remember one time we were flying over Texas, and he gave us a lecture on the Permian Basin, for example. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
What was that lecture like?
It was really cool. I was like, because you look down, you see all these wells, and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good education, because that is an incredible situation right there.
Yeah.
And he recognized that, right? Just from the business perspective, he was so intelligent.
Yeah.
He knew how to look at something and see the value in it, no matter what it was. And then create, if there was, in a way that others couldn't see.
Yeah.
They couldn't see it. He was a visionary. He was one of a kind. And the turning point was really, to me, that he faced questions that were very, very difficult, like race. Like he was racist. He was not racist.
That's right. Well, it's funny because I've prayed so much the night of a celebration. I said, Lord, I need something. I'm not sure what I need. I need more intellect, more memory. I need to know how to do this. I need to know how to debate, and I just kept it kind of open-minded. And I woke up with the idea of, Bill, you really don't. All you got to do is someone says he's a racist. Oh, well, first of all, let's define the term. And I saw this in exactly an event today. Let's define the term so we're on the same book, and then please make your point. And the most gentle. I don't have to know everything.
In the most kind way he would deliver it.
Yeah, but you know what? You're making a statement. Tell me, and I'm open-minded. You convince me he's a racist. Convince me he hates gays. Please. That's the way it's supposed to work in this country. And that was gone. He went into these campuses because debate was gone. Even the very manner of how to debate. I was watching him over at Cambridge debating, and it was Candace Owens was with them. It was hilarious. And the student was like, it's disingenuous that you only present the facts that make your case. And they all start looking at each other like, and Candace kind of smirks. She goes, are you asking Charlie to debate against himself? And I was just, and the guy still couldn't understand it. And I'm like, this is a debate, young man. It's up to you to bring it.
Prove your point.
Yeah.
Prove it to me.
And you know what? And you could have your laptop, your AI, your notes. Charlie didn't take any of that.
Nope.
Oh,
Right here.
that's it.
Right here.
That's it.
Right here. He let the Spirit speak to him directly, and then through that, he spoke directly through the mic to these people. And just to give a specific example, one of the most amazing moments I saw him was at a university. I forget what specific university it was, but this lady was challenging him on what it is to be a woman and how she had the right to have this baby and this and that. And he's like, if you choose to have unprotected sex and have a child, and you want that, and then the consequence is you have a child, and now you want to do all these things, then you want the freedom to do that, but you don't want to deal with the consequences of your actions. And so the lady's like paralyzed because she's like, you're right. That's the truth. If you're going to say it, then say it all the way through. If you're going to have this, then you need to make sure that you understand what you're asking for. You're asking for the freedom to do what? You're asking for the freedom to have a child. So you have a child, you bring life into the world, and now what happens next?
That's right.
And he goes right to the Bible for the answer.
That's right. That's exactly right. I tell you, it's funny. I used to try to keep up with all this content, and it was exhausting. I couldn't do it. Well, the good news is there's so much I haven't seen that I'll probably spend the rest of my life. I heard one time there's 100,000 hours. But I'll probably spend the rest of my life going through his content and going through it many times because some of it's just so eloquent and so beautiful. It's so much fun.
It is. It is. I'm in the process of doing that too, going through some of them that I didn't even know that certain dates and times on topics that were like I brought up to some of my friends that were so difficult to go through and to hear them talk. And all of a sudden at the end of it, you would just feel refreshed.
Yes. I know the answer.
Yes. Yeah.
I have the sword. Yes, exactly.
It was almost like everything
so simple.
Yes.
Oh my God.
A child could understand.
It's a butter knife. It's not even a sword.
No. And what's so sad to me is we can have, you and I could differ on something, whatever it might be. But it's sad that as men, we cannot civilly disagree or agree with that. And Charlie was so good at being respectful to that. And now to the point where Charlie has passed, the left has crossed a line. They have now taken life because they disagree with difficult topics that he was discussing. How do you feel about that? And how emotionally are you where you sit now with Charlie passing?
I tell you, I was at Costco shopping when I first heard, and it was absolutely devastating. My son Wade called me, and I couldn't even understand him. He was so just upset and frantic and speaking, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" He was like, "Dad, I don't want to tell you this. I hate to have to be the one to tell you this." And he told me. I just sat down and I was out of it. I got home and I sat on my front porch over there and I just cried for 4 hours straight. It was just the level of sadness I seldom get to.
What was so sad about it?
It's just so wrong. Such a beautiful guy. I mean, just even if he's just a father and a husband or anything.
He was an amazing father. He was an amazing.
But no one should die like that. No one should be murdered, especially for free speech. It was the ultimate end to a debate, but it wasn't. That's where they got it wrong. Because it's just beginning.
Amen.
I heard Andrew Govett talking about Charlie would have been amazed if he had 20,000 chapters, in his lifetime. Shoot, I think they had requests for 40 to 50 more thousand chapters of Turning Point.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you gave an example of how many stops that he made as he went around doing what he was doing, turning America into the right direction. And our podcast is Angels and Demons. And Charlie got to one of his episodes of debate with a pastor where he realized we are at war against the things that we cannot see. And he was very specific that we are in a war against good and bad, truth and lies, angels and demons. And I see how painful the hurt was because you saw a man that aligned with exactly the way that you know is truth and what's right.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to live your life in a way that is pure and right. And someone took him out of this world prematurely when he was not done doing what he was done doing. This country needed him. We needed him here because there's still so much brokenness that needs to be mended. But my belief, Mr. Bill, and I could be wrong, but I think Charlie could have been an angel.
I like it.
And the reason I think he could have been an angel is because God sent him down specifically at a specific time. When you told me that there was a point that you needed there to be mended, a country that was broken, that needed Jesus, that needed to know that this is not a free-for-all melting pot for satanic, devilish acts. It's for the truth and the living God to speak. And Charlie came and he delivered his message. And when he left, he was 1,000 times what he was. Because people like you and people that cried, they cried because they knew the very thing that lifted and exalted Jesus, they're going to continue fighting on for him. When you were at Arizona, what was that experience like?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, I met my driver, Uber driver, Joel, was fantastic. He dropped me off and then he said, "Oh, what time can you?" Because usually you get a relationship. It's like, "Oh, I'll take you in the morning too." Perfect. So he texted me and goes, "Hey, the traffic's already 5 miles backed up." He goes, "You may want to move it up." So I moved my plans up as quick as I could. I was already up and I was just reading and praying. And so I said, "I'm getting ready now." He goes, "I'll see you in 20 minutes." So I get there and I've got a suit on, by the way. Hot. But not exceptionally hot. Not for this, but probably a 30-minute walk just to get to where the line started. And I can show you some pictures, but this serpentine line back and forth in this huge parking lot, I've never seen more people in my life.
What a testimony.
The most beautiful people, too. I mean, it was the feeling of that. Oh, my God, I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Never gave you goosebumps.
Yeah, I do right now. And I'm not a line guy, and I wanted to give up. So I'm kind of looking, I'm like, how do I get out of here? Because I'm not getting into that place there. And plus, you hear people going, "I've been here since 4:30 a.m. I was in front of the security area for an hour and a half, and they told me I'm not getting in." So a lot of people are leaving. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go nearby someplace. So I'm just drenched. And I'm thirsty. Kind of feel like a fool for not getting there much earlier or something.
But you went.
Yeah.
You went.
So then I met a young man, Mike, who's a solar installer, who was local. Then I met this young man, Vincent, and his dad, Richard. And they're from Orlando. And we started talking. And I'm like, well, I'm going to walk over here and, get some air conditioning and kind of relax. And then I'm going to get picked up. And they're like, well, let's go there and let's go look at the arena and see if we can get in there. So they actually held me and, in a spiritual sense and got me there. And then we waited in that line and got in to the arena, which was an amazing seat. But the spiritual part of the line was incredible. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Wonderful people, young people, just beautiful.
That supported Charlie Kirk in everything that he had done to honor him,
Yeah.
to take the time like you did to stop everything they're doing to go and just honor him in this moment, this catastrophe where his life was taken. I mean, it's shatter. It's like taking a glass and just shattering it, or baseball bats, just shattering all your windows in your house. And all it did is take people that want to fight even harder. You wake up each day and you dig further, you listen more, you gather more so that you can be a better warrior to fight on for what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. Right?
Oh yeah.
Am I wrong?
Not at all. But I mean, look at history. What do we do to our best people? What do we do to Jesus?
Crucify.
Yeah. What we just do to Charlie?
Crucified.
They did it. They did that. Yeah. In a way, yes. What happens afterwards? Some of the greatest events in history. I mean, the crucifixion of Jesus is the greatest thing that's ever happened.
As Joby said, if the tomb is empty, anything is possible. And for our listeners that love Charlie Kirk, that this episode is devoted to a dear friend, Mr. Bill Scrogins, who in the early infant stages, but before people even probably knew who Charlie Kirk was, Mr. Bill saw in him a vision of putting this country back together in the right way, the biblical way, the way that Jesus wants this to be. What would you say to listeners that are listening that are dealing with grief from this and they are not recovering well?
You know, Charlie, the answer is so simple. Watch the podcast where Charlie discusses it himself, and that'll be extremely comforting. Extremely comforting. He said, you know, don't cry for me. I'm seated next to the Holy Father. I'm seated in heaven next to the Father. Don't cry for me. That's silly. If you do that, that's a silly thing. But personally, we are going to grieve because we're not perfect.
It's hard. Harder than hard. It's something that there isn't really anyone to compare him to. Like, I don't know anyone that I could say is like Charlie Kirk. There were people like you that you met in these circles and events that you went to that had a vision, and he aligned to that, and you knew he was the person for the job. And you gave him that chance and that opportunity. And the United States of America owes Mr. Bill Scroggins a thank you. Because if it wasn't for this man, Charlie Kirk wouldn't have made the impact on this country that it did. America wouldn't be where it is, and it wouldn't be turning around. If you notice, things are turning around. Gas prices are going down. Political issues are getting corrected. So the list goes on and on about how Donald Trump has been able to fix this country because there were men like Charlie that gathered and supported him. And it takes a team. And you were such a part of that. And for Donald Trump to even come and recognize you as is Charlie taken care of?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel that you were such a part of turning America in the right direction?
Well, I'm going to kind of correct you a little bit. I was a part, but there's far many more people that carried a huge load. Doug DeGroot. He had...
Here you go. Always
no, that there are.
You always
I mean, if I did one, they did 100, dude. And I'm serious. I mean, they trust me. The amount of work they did, you know, Andrew Colbert, Tyler Boher, Stacy Sheridan, all the Turning Point staff, just putting together that celebration alone. You guys, you know, can imagine putting that together in a week? No. But yeah, I played a part, but history will one day tell us, but I played a part, and I'm more than happy to. But Charlie was my friend. Just like you're my friend.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And thank you for providing me with a place to stay. I really appreciate it. And for always looking out for me, just like you did for Charlie. And this is something that it just is a gift for you, Mr. Bill, where you look at people and what they're doing, whether it's this podcast, you've just poured your love. All I'm trying to do is provide and let people know that life is hard. I mean, we're talking about a dear friend, Charlie Kirk, who passed away. Life is hard. Like Mr. Bill said, grieving. Like it's difficult. And this is what this podcast is about, is to let you know you're not alone. You're not alone. You've got people like Mr. Bill. You've got people around you. How can you tell us how to draw closer to your group of people to get support so that we're not alone doing this?
That's a great question. I tell you, it's really funny because I've met so many neighbors from this event that I don't normally meet. And then we're talking about this, and we want to start a Turning Point neighborhood.
That's great.
I haven't talked to any of the Turning Point people, don't get me wrong, but just a Turning Point neighborhood. We haven't even thought of a name for it yet, but like Turning Point for grownups, you know? And it's going to be fun. We're going to meet, whether it's sanctioned by Turning Point or not. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but it's just going to happen. And we're going to get together and we're going to watch some of the videos and talk and pray. And we're just going to be together. And who knows where that's going to spread.
Well,
and one of his last interviews was Angels and Demons. So maybe Turning Point neighborhood goes right under Angels and Demons, and we just carry on Charlie's legacy.
Yeah, but I hope one day people are going to go, wow, you knew Vince Morgan? I'm like, yeah. Like, he lived on, you were his landlord, he lived on your property? I'm like, yeah. You know? Well, what was that like? You know, what's the history of that? What do you think of it?
Thank you.
But think of it. This is exactly how it is when I met Charlie.
I appreciate that.
You're just Vince.
Well, all I'm trying to do is I like Charlie, I see that the country is a mess. And from the schools to the, I got 14 nieces and nephews. I got a 4-week-old son on the way. And you look at this and you're like you're sick. You're sick to your stomach and you're nauseous.
That's right.
And so if I can help one person from depression, or help one school not get shot up because somebody realizes or sees that mental health is a serious part of this country. The person that shot Charlie was not mentally healthy.
That's right.
He's sick. And there's a lot of sickness. And mental health has become so taboo where you go to talk about it and you're like, no, I'm going to play it off like I'm just having a great old day. Like some days, I've even been where I feel comfortable enough for you where you're like, Vinny, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm actually having a rough day, Bill, at work. Or I'm going through this. And then real life starts happening. Real conversations start happening. And the fakeness and the phoniness fades. And then you can start really making an impact because you're having true conversations that make a difference. And if I can make a difference in America, I don't know if I'll ever do it like Charlie did, but I want to make an impression upon people to realize whatever it is you're fighting through, you're not alone. We're here. We're a community, like you just said. Turning Point is for what? In the neighborhood, the idea.
For us. It's for us. There's a void. Charlie saw a void, and in many ways, not only to be in front of the students, but something really cool was this thing where they would speak to all the people running for student government. Guess what? Those are the next Congress people, senators, and presidents. I was like, gosh, that's brilliant. And then
pipeline.
Yeah, and then going to reach all the pastors who had drifted from the message to become bold again. Not bubble gum or cotton candy.
He created a clear pipeline.
Yeah. So there's opportunity for every one of us. I mean, you're taking it right now, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. I'm trying my best. And you know what? The thing is, what Charlie did and what you're doing is you have to get up and you have to do something.
That's right.
You got to get up and you have to do something. And I know something that is beautiful that I love so much is you have a passion for gardening. And just it. Can you tell me how gardening has helped you with mental health?
Oh, good. Thank you for asking. It's funny because you asked me, or you wrote down one time, tell me about your favorite scripture, and it comes from Matthew, I think Matthew 26. And trust me, I'm not a Bible verse quoting guy, and I think this came from a Joby Martin discussion at church about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, when the scripture itself is like, Father, is there any other way for this cup to be filled? Is there any other way? Think about this. You're facing a crucifixion the next day. Is there any other way? The most brutal way of dying, probably known to man. And it's coming up. I mean, I've had exams where I'm like, oh no, I've only got 2 more hours, or things you avoid, a medical test. Can you imagine the hurt?
No.
So that's my favorite scripture. And when I'm out there, you always see me pulling weeds and cutting. I'm closest to Jesus out there, because what I'm doing is I'm restoring order to the world. I'm pulling weeds, which is kind of the evil, and I'm removing death, which is the resurrection. So that's why I'm out there, and I can't get enough of it.
That right there is something that is so powerful, because you've connected in a way to give you that sanity and that mental space so that you can process even the death of Charlie Kirk in a spiritual way. And gardening is spiritual. You're trimming back the bad or the dead, and you're letting the new grow. And that's what Charlie was doing, was trimming back the dead and the bad and letting the good grow. And so
The analogy, yeah. The analogies.
You're out there doing what Charlie was doing on a daily basis around your beautiful home, trimming all the dead and the stuff that sucks out the life, like the weeds from the really beautiful palm trees.
That's right.
and stuff that needs to grow, and it's stealing its nutrients. And that's what the Democrats were doing, is they were stealing the nutrients from the country, sucking all the lifeblood out of it, so stifling the growth. And so Christianity and everything is dying because it can't survive. And that's so cool.
And it got so bad in this country, you couldn't even talk to people. You didn't know how to discuss anything with them, because first of all, you didn't know how to call them, what pronoun. Can you imagine, like, I ran a business in California, going in front of 100 people trying to give a pep talk, and you had to talk so slowly so that you didn't make anyone feel uncomfortable, like no pronouns or nothing. It was exhausting. And I'm a Dale Carnegie trained, public speaker. I'm good at it, but it was just exhausting.
In a way that you saw that it was out of hand, and the way that Charlie said, hey, listen, I got to take this and I've got to bring it into a good place and redirect it. And then people like you got behind it. And the way that it did is it emerged very similar to what I'm trying to do, is bring about something holy and good that can help other people. Charlie was trying to help students. The next generation that's going to be America is try to make that generation align. You supported and helped that. You're supporting me and trying to align stuff through what does Scripture tell us about where we should go and what we should do on a daily basis. And God bless you, Mr. Bill.
Thank you.
And all these listeners, you have no idea how lucky you are to have Mr. Bill here. He has been an influence in my life that has shown me. He has humbled himself and helped people in ways you have no idea, to lift this country up in a way where it is meant to be. And when I say where it's meant to be, where you can put the Bible on the table and you can say, God wanted this, and this man right here wants that. Like Joby Martin says, let the scriptures, let the Lord Jesus Christ set us free, because without him, it's not going to be a pretty ending or story. And so thank you for tuning in to Angels and Demons podcast. Mr. Bill Scrogins, thank you so much for coming on. May Charlie Kirk live in our hearts and in our minds, and may he know that we are down here fighting daily, every day, for him to turn America around in the right direction it should go. And that is our commitment to him as he looks down from heaven, that we will fight, whether it's community, whether it's church, whatever that looks like, together to make you proud, Charlie, and to make, most of all, Jesus Christ proud. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to next time.